Hello fellow map makers, welcome to tonight's live map making session. I hope our sound is good, you can hear me. Everything is okay, it's a bit quiet in the chat, yeah, but it does seem to be okay, thanks Sue. So we're good to go, yes. The bells are going off in the background, as usual. Still too cold outside though to have the window open to hear them nice and clear. We'll have to wait a little bit for that. Alright, I'm Ralph Sherman of Fantasy Software, and I'm here tonight to show you a bit of campaign cartographer and a way to create your own symbols and extend existing styles with vector symbols. If you have any questions during the session, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We've got some very knowledgeable people out there who will help to answer anything, and if possible I'll show stuff on screen as well. Alright, so what we're up to tonight, I want to take a look at the dark fantasy style. That's an old... sorry, get distracted by the cat already. As soon as I start speaking, the other shows up and wants my attention, is looking what's up, checking that I'm doing everything okay. So say hi, Asa. Okay, yes, she doesn't like that. Alright, so where was I? I want to work on the dark fantasy symbol set. That set of symbols actually goes way back to CC2 and CC2 Pro times. It was my very first set of self-created symbols that I did to extend the back then fantasy mapper style that came with the symbol set 2 and became the signature CC2 Pro style for a while. And I did a dark themed set for those at the time, which I even sold for a while via my own website, and which then eventually became folded into the Cartographer's Annual. And so here we are at it, and I want to show you how to draw your own symbols in that style, how to extend this and perhaps edit existing symbols, and at the same time just show you how to work with symbols and campaign cartographer. Yes, thanks Remy. There were quite a few users who purchased the set at the time, and I'm very happy that no one begrudged me putting them, making them available publicly at the time. They're just falling a bit out of the current styles, since they're not bitmap symbols. They don't have the same kind of detail and as the current symbols and styles we have from campaign cartographer. But I still like them, and I do still think they make nice maps, and they're a great object to work on yourself and work with them. Alright, so how do we do that? Let's see, we've got the example map that came with the annual at the time here on screen. And if I click on the catalog window, that shows the vegetation style that's available. As you can see, everything is available both in plain colors and then vari-color versions. And actually quite a few different symbols available. If I expand the collections, you'll see that each of the trees has a group behind them and so on. And we do have also different catalogs for different ones. In the border catalog I've come some kind of special symbols and for magical sites and special locations. We've got there's not much actually in the sea catalog. We might change that. Perhaps we can add something like that. Basically, it's only the drawing tools in this catalog and no specific symbols. We do have a lot of mountain symbols. That were actually the first ones I created back then, because I wanted some darker, more jagged mountains at the time, and I went from there. So there's a lot of mountain symbols in this set, as you can see, and also some hills. Then we do have a natural features catalog with some mesas, lava pools, rocks, and even some clouds and lightning stuff for special effects on the map. And also probably the catalog I was most proud of at the time, still am, is the structures catalog with structures for some kind of more, darker realms and populations like orcs and undead and demonic settlements, some for more kind of insectoid people, some ice structures, and so on. And then, back at the vegetation catalog here. Alright, so let's see how we get on with creating some new stuff for this. If you have any ideas and wishes for stuff I should draw, please feel free to post them in the chat. I can see what I can create from them. Please just note I'm not a really good artist and won't be able to, for example, draw people or very complex objects. I'll struggle with that, but I might manage the occasional hill or building or tree. A fallen tree, that's already a good one to start with, thanks to, and something fairly easy I should be able to do. And so let's see how we go on with that. Since I'm adding to existing catalogs, I'll load up a symbol catalog to work on that. Cats, yes. Oh god, no, I probably can't do a cat justice, Remy, sorry about that. I might manage a stylized head or something. Alright, so I'm going to click the file open button on the file toolbar and go to my program data folder in Campaign Cartographer. This is normally just installed on C or D, depending on, normally on C on your default drive, Windows drive. But if you chose a custom folder like I have here, it might be on a different folder, different drive and in a different folder. So I'm going to D, program data, C3+, symbols, and this will be under maps. And then we do have the annual dark fantasy style, all collected in one folder. You'll notice that there are no bitmap folders or bitmap images, no PNGs in this. This is because it's all pure vector symbols, and vector symbols are all drawn with and stored within the Campaign Cartographer file. There's no FCW drawing in here, but that's because the catalogs have their own format. And if I choose the file format FSC symbol catalog, I'll get all the different catalogs listed. Okay, this is a really off-topic question. Thanks, Quentin. Quentin asked, how do I get my cat to swallow pills? Simple answer is, I don't. No way, I can't manage that. Medicine I have to give, either the vet has to give it to her, or I have to spill stuff into the food. Okay, sorry for the digression there. It just got me laughing there. Alright, so I want to create a fallen tree, and so I'm gonna load up the vegetation catalog. I'm not going, oh, I can save my changes to the map here, and here we are on my symbol catalog. Symbol catalogs are only really the same type as a map drawing. It's a Campaign Cartographer drawing with a different file extension. So technically there's no difference between those, but to make it obvious that I'm working on a symbol catalog, I usually turn the background color to something different than the plain white. You can do that on view here, show view, this view window color, and for drawing here to make stuff more visible, I'll change it to white for the time being, or I might perhaps, let's change it to something a little bit off. There we go. Actual white. Yes. Thanks, Quentin. when I saw the image. It's been around for a while, that image. It's very appropriate. Okay, so now I've got tons of symbols here, and of course I want to draw something matching the existing ones. The first thing I do is put one of the symbols into the map, so I can reference that for size and style. And since we are working with the fallen tree, let's start off with a dead tree as our reference. See, it's fairly small. We've got grid enabled. Here we go. And then I'm just going to zoom out, do some text extents, and zoom in a bit. Oh, let's have a look at this. You see, it's really a very simple object, just a brown polygon in the shape of a tree with some branches and then a little bit of shading, so some shadows in there, and a dark black outline. And that's about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explode this so I can take a closer look at the individual pieces more easily, or use the extract properties tool on stuff. And just select that, do it, and now I don't have a symbol but different objects here, like a polygon or multiple polygons basically. And then I can use the extract properties. I'm going to go on the edge there, and you can see I'm on the layer symbol definition. Line's still solid. The color is the 36 brown, and I'm on the common sheet. And that's what I am working on. The symbols here normally is best to work on just one sheet, or sheet. So you can see it's one symbol sheet has been added to this because the symbols have the property that they go on their own sheet on symbols, and if that's not in the drawing already, it gets added, and that's what happened. I'm going to leave that, but because that's going to make it easy to just delete everything that I don't need later. But I'm going to work on the common sheet here for my new symbol. So what I'm first going to do is I'm just simply going to draw a fallen tree shape. So let's start off with perhaps, let's step by step, I'm using the polygon tool for that. I'm not going into drawing tools for the moment. I might add some later. Back then there were no drawing tools available. We did everything via the standard cut drawing commands, and so I'm going to show you how that goes first. And I'm going to show you a little bit how to make that easier with drawing tools. Alright, so I'm thinking I'm going to do a stump, a bit of a broken, go in a little bit closer the bed gets, the easier I can draw my, there we go, and I'm just going to draw the stump first here. And then I'm gonna draw some fallen part. See how I can manage that. Just trying to imagine some branches sticking out from the fallen tree here. As you can see from the original shape, I keep everything fairly simple, and I'm already thinking this perhaps it's a bit too wide here at the top. I want to make the top section that's fallen down there a little bit smaller. And so I'm just going to use the the move nodes tool to make this all a little bit smaller. Oh, I'm quite happy with that. It's about the same size as the other symbol, and the shape is generally fine. Nothing specifically great artistically, but good enough for my purposes here. Alright, so that's the first step. Now I need my shading on the tree. For that I'm going to use extract properties again and to get the darker brown. As you can see, it's 34. I got a question from Versus whether there's a way to modify existing symbol. Yes, of course, you can do that, but rotating is easily with the symbol anyway, but you can also go into the symbol and edit it, show you in a moment, and do stuff in there. Clone a symbol and then do edits on the clone. But for now I'm just going to draw a new one first. Alright, now I do need, I want to draw my shading in here. For that I'm gonna use the on modifier, or the endpoint modifier to be exact, F5, to attach my shadow here to the existing outline. And then I'm going to do the same, clicking endpoint for each point here. I click, and it can be a bit tricky if you put down a lot of nodes and trying to follow an existing outline, and therefore I'm going to show you a little bit how to set up a simple drawing tool that lets you use the trace function, which I can't use with the normal polygon. Doesn't have the trace option. I can do that, but I know I can do that with a drawing tool, so that might be handy. So I'm going to set up a drawing tool for that, and for that I'm going to open the all drawing tools. Let's see whether I might already have something in here. No, I don't. I just have the standard terrain drawing tools. So I'm going to go into advanced. And now I'm just going to create a new drawing tool. And I just call that symbols. So I have all the tools I create for this under one label. It won't be available through any of the normal buttons, but the all drawing tools button, but that's fine. I won't need it that often. So I'm going to go symbols, solid color. So I just want to create a tool for the solid colors. As you can see, I'm not using smooth polygons, so I'm going to click on options and make it a straight one. Don't need end-to-end macros with that. I want it closed. And I'm going to uncheck restrict to map border, since I don't have any map border only in here. I also don't need front only on layer, because I'm working on one sheet anyway. And I don't need any outline to this. I might do that in the future. Let's see. We're not going to set up a tool for that. And for properties, I just wanted to go always on the symbol definition layer, because that's the layer I would normally put everything on. I'm going to leave the sheet blank because I just want it to be on the current sheet, which will be common. As I said, I want to use the solid fill style, and I don't want to set up a specific drawn tool for each of the different colors I'm going to be using. So I'm just going to use the current color, so I can change that on the fly. That's my tool. Okay, save settings. And now I'm just gonna start by drawing the first point, and then I'm gonna, now I do have the trace option, as you can see on the lower left. I'm gonna do T for trace, pick a point, starting point, and then follow this along until the point I want. Right click to finish, and that's much easier already. For some points I won't really need that trace option, because I can basically more quickly just place down the few points I need to follow a certain section of the fallen tree. If you're drawing a shadow, try to imagine where the light is coming from. So imagining the light from the top left, as I have in all the other symbols. That's why I'm putting my shadows on the bottom and on the right of the different pieces of the tree. So I want a bit of shadow here on that branch, and a bit of shadow on this branch here. And that's already enough if I look at my existing symbols. I might put in a little bit of just some texture, basically a little bit of a shadow here on the tree. All right, so that's almost all I need. The only thing I'm missing is the black outline, on my tree, and I'm simply going to do that by using the outline function. Outline in black, up here. Now I can select by color, right click color, use F2 to select my outline here. Or actually, I forgot that I'm going to be outlining the other tree back there. But since I'll be deleting it anyway, no matter, I'll just leave that. And press D for do it. And then, if you can see, you might notice that that's a bit hard to see because the lines are thin on the screen. But basically, the dark shadow covers the black outline. That's because if you use outline on an option, it will put the outline directly above that specific entity. And since we drew the shadow later, it's now between the light brown and the dark brown, easily fixed by just using bring to front, prior. You can see prior entity that's been drawn is the black outlines. They're highlighted in purple now, or in magenta. And now it's above the dark brown shading as well. So one thing to check if you're doing vector symbols, once you've drawn everything you need, how the outline looks when you're placing the symbol. Basically, because Campaign Cartographer is drawing entities on top of each other, placing a symbol, it can outlines will be hidden if there's an even number of outlines, because one drawing cancels the other in the preview, and it might sometimes make it hard to place a symbol because you can't see the outline. The easy thing to fix this is by adding an extra outline, but sometimes we don't need that. So I'm just gonna do a move, select the objects that will make up my symbol, press D for do it, and now you can see if I don't hover the mouth, I only see the shadows. That's because that's just one entity, so uneven number, I can see that, and on the parts where it's parallel to the outline, it's also parallel to the solid background color, so that's three entities of a top of each other I see again. On the other part that just show up if I move the mouse, there's two entities on top of each other. That's the solid color background and the black outline, and they cancel each other out in a preview, and so you can't see them if you don't move the mouse. But the shadow should be enough to locate the symbol when you're placing it, and when you're moving it, you're seeing the whole thing anyway. So I'm thinking I'm fine with this. I don't need to add an extra outline, and I'll leave it at this. Okay, so that's the symbol done, and now I just want to add it to my collection of symbols, and I'm gonna do symbols, define a new symbol, do it. I'm gonna take a look how my symbols are called. They are dead tree 1 to 5 here at the moment, so I might just make this my 6th dead tree. So do it. The define new symbol dialog comes up. I've got a prefix here for my symbols. It's C140, the number of the annual. on, now I'm going to call it fallen tree. I don't want it mixed in with the others for the moment, so I'm just going to call it fallen tree 1. My insertion point will, I will use the center for this. Okay. And now it's gone. Well, we see, but it's actually been added as a symbol definition to my map. If I go into my symbol manager and scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's my fallen tree in the map now. And I want to collapse the collections again. Scroll down here. Yeah, right. That was the loaded catalog. The drawing internal symbols are down here. There's my fallen tree. And I can now take this, place in the map again. And I already see I forgot something. I didn't grab the little shadow of the branch when I defined it. But I think I'm not gonna correct that. I'm just gonna leave it at that and delete the shadow there. I really don't need that piece. See, there's the symbol again. And hit undo, and I'm going to erase this little shadow here. But let's say I wanted to edit now, and I could of course undo everything, but I can also just go into a symbol and edit it again. And that's been a question before, so I'm going to show you how to do that. You go into the symbol manager, scroll all the way down to the symbol, select it, click edit, 2 points for an editing window, and here we are again, and we can use the same type of tools. And I'm just going to use the polygon and draw in a new version of my little branch shadow there. There we go. And now I need to check here something, and this shadow covers the black outline again. So what I can do is I can either front the black outlines again, or what I might want to do, I put this right in front of the brighter brown background. For that is I'm gonna bring in front of, select the dark background here, then the brighter brown background, then the dark shadow, do it, and now it's been right in front of the brown background, which means behind the black outline, basically between those two. There we are. And to save our edit to the symbol, we just close this and confirms the changes. Now I do need to make the changes to the symbol catalogs, to the symbol definition. If I take a look at my existing symbols here and click on options, then I see it's a symbol of one of a collection, numbers at the end, and I randomly select from the collection. With this new symbol I won't have a collection yet because it's just one, but I might set these options, so if I add more fallen trees later, I get the same random selection as with the other symbols. Alright, and then I'm gonna also force the sheet here. Go down, and I'm gonna click options here. Symbol is one of a collection, numbers at the end. I want to eventually random select from a collection, and for sheet symbols. Go. And there's my fallen tree. And I could now move it up in the list until I've got it in the place I wanted, near the stumps, for example, or my barren trees. But what I want to do here is I want to show you how to edit the order of symbols externally, which makes it much easier than moving individual symbols up and down in that list there. First off, I want to delete my the tree I placed previously, or the symbol. I think exploding actually placed it on the common sheet, so I'm just delete this. Here we go. And now I want to change the order of trees, modify that, or rename trees, and I can do that in a text editor by going to Symbols, Rename and Reorder, and create a SymDev name file. For that I'm going to go into the same, actually I should probably go in my video folder. I can find stuff more easily. Vector symbols here, and I'm just going to call that temp. Here we are. And I'm going to load up my file explorer, go to the video folder, Fantasy Streams, Vector Symbols, and there's my temp folder. And now I'm going to open that in a text editor. Let me resize that so you can see it on video. And there you can see that I have all the symbols listed by name. And if I go all the way down, there's my fallen tree. I can now take this to put it in the cut it into the clipboard. I'm going to put it into here, just behind the hollow trees. Save the file, and now I go in and rename and reorder and import reordered symbol devs. It's important that you don't do renamed symbols, SymDevs, because then it will just rename the existing ones and the names will all be wrong from where I added the new one. So reordered, there we are. And if I take a look now, my fallen tree is now behind the hollow trees here. Perfect. Good, that's one step. Now I want to show you how to make a varicolor symbol from that. All right. Yeah, I've got a question from Sue how to make forests from that. Yeah, that's a bit more of an extensive option. As you can see here, I've got several forest wood and forest symbols with dead trees that make up sections in a collection of symbols which you can put together with a fill with symbols option. But this is probably a bit too much more than I can show you in one video session. I will have to do a separate live video for that. Well, might be actually a good idea to show you at some point how to create these. These are a bit more time intensive to do. For now, let's concentrate on individual symbols. Good. So I want to make a varicolor symbol of the one I've created. How do I do that? Now let's find it first. There's my fallen tree, and I'm going to make a clone. And I'm going to put in a VC for varicolor in here. There we are. And now I could go through the edit option again and work on this in that environment again. But I want to have a bit of access to other symbols, to reference other symbols and so on. And so I'm going to show you another way to easily edit symbols, so you don't have to open up an editing window for every single ones you want to edit. And so instead I'm going to do symbols and do SymDevs in Sheets. But let me show you an error you might run into to start with. Say I've previously accidentally clicked on a symbol, and this has added the symbols sheet to my list of sheets. If I now do symbols, SymDevs to Sheets, I get an error message. The drawing may not contain any sheets or symbol references. So I don't have any symbol references here in the map, but I do have an extra sheet, and that prevents the command from working. So I'm just going to delete this sheet. Symbols, SymDevs to Sheets. And now one symbol. Well, I do have one sheet for every symbol now in here. All the others are hidden. And with the next sheet command, for example, I can cycle through these, go through all of these, or with previous sheet, go back until I find the one I need, or I can of course just go into my sheet list and look for my fallen tree. Tree stumps, solo trees, there's my fallen tree varicolor version. And there we are. Now I could turn off the auto hide all sheets option here and have another one open. So let's see if I wanted to one of the other varicolor trees visible. They'll overlap a bit, as you can see, but I have them available for reference if I want to. But what I wanted to do is I want to show you how to make this varicolor. Okay, so well, varicolor, yeah, normally I have one color that can be varicolor that will take on the color of the currently selected one I have. Or on a bitmap symbol I have an area that's shaded a little bit in a different, but still just one color I define. But I have two colors in the symbol. I have a dark brown and I have a lighter brown. How to make both of them into varicolor options. For that, vector symbols have the option for separate layers that define what variations of the main varicolor these should be. And for an object to be affected by that, it has to be on the layer. For example, I have a varicolor plus 0 layer. Any entity on that layer will be applied the varicolor, the unmodified varicolor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the lighter brown to that layer. So I'm going to go change layer by color, use F2 on the light brown, and D for do it, right click for the layer name and just select varicolor plus 0. There we are, no changes visible, it's just where the objects are placed. And then I'm going to do the same with change layer with the dark browns. Oops, what did I do there? No, by somehow interrupted my command there. Let's start over, change layer by color, F2, yeah, I think I missed the by color step. There we are, our shadows are collected, D for do it, right click to bring up the layer catalog. And I checked earlier, my light brown is the 36, my dark brown is in the color number 34, and that's how I usually set up the shading on the symbols. The shade color is 2 steps darker than the main color. And therefore I'm just going to put the shadows on the varicolor -2 layer. That means they will get assigned the color 2 steps darker than the varicolor, the main varicolor of the symbol. There we go. No changes again. And then I'm going to do sheets to SymDefs. That puts all my different sheets back into symbol definitions. And now I just need to define the symbol as a varicolor symbol. Further down, there's my fallen tree varicolor. See, at the moment you can't see a difference. Now I go into options and say this is a varicolor symbol. There we go. And if I go down here, refresh the screen, and if I change the color now, you can see this is affected. And if I place the two next to each other, that's the brown one, and here's the varicolor version. Yes, Sue asks whether if I add a layer called varicolor -3, would that give you 3 shades darker? Yes, that's it. There's no more to that. It's simply taken from the name of the layer, the numbering, and that's all of it. There's a limit to that, of course. If I take a look in my colors. Just a sec. Here you can see my varicolor, the 71, is the lighter shade on the fallen tree, and the darker shade is the 69, 2 steps darker. As you can see, the colors in the drawing palette are arranged in lines of 16 colors. The first 2 are the basic colors, many of them defined for system purposes, so they don't have the shading included. All the next one are the sequentially shaded colors. So I'm on the blue here, and what happens if I go on the darkest shade, because 2 steps darker than that? What is that? Let's give it a try. You can just change now the what you can't do with this is now change the color like this, like with the standard varicolor symbol. Say I wanted to make this color 69. I see no change in that. Problem with that is that when you add a varicolor like this, Symbols Manager, it creates a new one down here with the color number included, so Campaign Cartographer knows which color has been applied to that specific symbol, and therefore that gets its own new symbol definition. But if I choose the color from scratch and go to my fallen tree, internal symbols, not the external symbol catalog, down here, place that, then basically my darkest color will always be black, because it doesn't get darker than black in Campaign Cartographer, and therefore it does look a little bit greenish, but that's just from the contrast to the other color and from the screen. So this is going to be black, and it won't get any darker than that. And that means if I choose black as my base color, then you will lose the shadow definition naturally in the symbol. It will just be all black, as you can see. All right, so there we are. That's our symbols, and this is the option of making the. As for these symbols, you need the symbol option to say that it's a varicolor symbol. Normally, if you have just one normal varicolor symbol, this is not actually needed to make the varicolor work, because that's a specific color, and color 31, and that will always be varicolor. What you could do is you could also put the 31 color in a symbol like this one, but that won't have any additional effect over giving it, putting it on the varicolor +0 layer. I've got a question from Versus whether you could do specific things then with the custom color palette in there. Yes, of course you could. You could, for example, put in a break into every of those 16 color lines and have some other kind of color, 2 steps down, 2 steps 2 numbers lower, and then have special effects coming through that. It's gonna be a bit tricky to pull off, but I think yes, it doesn't actually have to be a darker shade. It just goes by the color numbering. So if I say I was working here on the color 71 and I define my color 69 in something else entirely, then that color will get affected and you will have this neon coloring. Default palette again. And that way you can affect the coloring through the color palette. All right, so that's those symbol catalogs. What you can do, what I would normally do is say you can create already drawing tools for the varicolors. So if you want to start off with drawing a varicolor symbol, you could go in here and say symbols varicolor base. No, let's call it base varicolor, like this. Then you just go into the properties and put it on the varicolor plus 0 layer. Still use the current drawing color, but there's easy way to just draw a varicolor version, or the varicolor parts of a symbol, and then do a new one with shading varicolor, and we're going to put this on varicolor -2, and then symbols highlights. If you wanted to do some glints or light reflections on the symbol, highlight varicolor, and wanted a very bright version, we could just do varicolor plus 4 for that. Alright, there we go, and then we have the drawing tools to do that. We could perhaps use a little bit of that. So let's erase all our workings here, because we do have all that in our list of symbols. And we can now save the catalog. And if we go back to our example map and load up the vegetation catalog, we should have the new symbol in our list of available ones. There we are, there's our fallen tree ready to be used on any new map. So let's do another little example. Say I wanted to make more of a marker, perhaps something to go on. Oh, actually we were thinking of drawing something for the coast setting, perhaps. So, any good ideas what we could draw there? Basically, we already have a lot of the I think why I didn't do a sea and coast catalog at the time is because the existing ones from that style were already pretty extensive. Yeah, spotting whale. Just for example, we have one of those, I guess. You know, symbols, maps. These should be under the SS2 symbols. No, the SS1 symbols actually. That's the fantasy version here. Probably quite a few of those won't have these symbols really seen yet. See, there's my old dark fantasy versions of the symbols. Go into coast and rivers and load this. This is really rarely used nowadays. This catalog. There's a spouting whale. And this was the style I was used. Man-made skeletons. I mean, that's that's actually a great idea. Let's see whether I can come up with anything like that. Problem. Let's see whether we can. Do I dare try to draw? Perhaps a fish skeleton. Fish skeleton might be something I can come up with. All right, so let's have a look. Let's go into my dark fantasy symbols again, and the coast catalog. That no, which one do I should be loading symbol catalogs here and not into my drawing interface and not just into the catalog window. Data files, but program data, CC plus, symbols, maps, annual dark fantasy. Actually, I'm not going to start from the coast catalog because the coast catalog doesn't have any vector symbols in it, just drawing tool references, and I want something I can reference, so I'm going to go with the borders catalog. And see there we've got some special symbols. And Hangman's Tree, some magic symbols, graveyard, midden, and altar. Let's go with the crystal or let's go with the totem pole to start with. It's because it's got some bony stuff on there. So we go. Actually was used to more drawing symbols back then. Probably was better at drawing them back then than I am now. Here we go. And here we can take a look what coloring we have for this. That's the color 19 up here. And let's see whether we can come up with a nice fish skeleton. I'm going to use my drawing tool for that. Oh, actually, but this doesn't have the style attached. So I'm just going to go into drawing properties and attach my dark fantasy style, so I can actually find the catalogs I've created for the symbols, and they are my symbols base color. Alright, so let's start off with the tail fin, basically. I do need to get a little bit closer. So, and then the spine, basically. Yep. Where's my simple solid color here? Not sure I'm getting something nice here. Just got the idea of drawing a little curved spine. Let's go back. Nice thing about drawing tools as well, as opposed to normal polygons, is that you can undo points you've set. Go. And now I do need some bones going off from that. Oops. And of course I didn't close that, and I wanted to use my drawing tool as well. See, it takes a little bit longer to draw these things if you're going into more detailed stuff. I can imagine I spent quite a bit of time on all those different symbols back then. That was in younger times when I had more time available. Actually, before I worked for Pro Fantasy. At least outside from individual projects. And some final bounce. And then I need a head. I guess it does need some sharp teeth. There we go. Let's get the general idea. Now I do need a little bit of shading on that. See, it's a very rough idea of some fish skeleton, but it shall be fine for what I'm doing here. And I'm going to use the darker bone color, color 29. And then I just need to trace this a bit. Yeah. Trace the larger bones here. And a bit here. And down here. And of course on the head here. This was a bit much. Solid color. Switch to our darker shading color again. Go. There we are. And then we're just gonna change the color of some of the smaller bones on this side to the darker shading. Do it to color 29. There we are. And now we do need to outline this. Outline by color 19. Combine and this. Actually, I of course also need to outline these here. I can just pick them individually. There we are. Do it and front the black color. Do it. We do have a little error here, missed point. So I'm just going to insert a note here. There we are. Okay, now let's check how this moves. Yes, that's fine. Let's rotate it a bit. There we are. And there's our fish skeleton. Well, if you tell me what it's supposed to be, I can vaguely recognize it. Excuse my mediocre drawing skills and also doing this under a bit of a time pressure. I should be able to get something a little bit more clearly recognizable when I have a little bit more time. But we are just going to define the symbol here. Symbols, define symbol. Okay, do it. Call this dead fish. Okay, and then go into the symbols manager. Down here, options. Also make a symbol collection, just in case we decide to add more dead fish at some later point for whatever we may need them. A big dead fish graveyard or something else entirely. Put it on the symbols sheet. Now I'm not going to bother about moving this. This is fine at the bottom of the catalog. Now I'm just going to delete the symbols sheet here. and erase our reference symbol. Now I'm going to save the borders catalog. If I want to add it now to the coast and sea catalog, I can do that as well. I'm just going to load up the coast catalog, and in the catalog window I'm going to load the borders, and then just click the one symbol, and now it's in my symbols for the coast. I'm going to move it up all the way to the top. Now I'm going to go back to my main map, load up and here's my dead fish, and I can now scale that, rotate that, and add it to my existing map. And there we are. And these are how you do vector symbols and do edits to existing symbols and create your own versions of styles. Of course, this way you can create your own complete styles with if you do a lot of symbols or just enough to make up your own maps. And there we are. All right, there we are. I hope you enjoyed that little lesson in symbol creation and an excursion into some very old symbols of mine. And I hope you were able to take something from that and create your own symbols. Thanks for listening, thanks for joining in, and see you again next week. Bye-bye.